People meet through the internet so much anymore that it can't be avoided when talking about how it affects people's communication interpersonally. Discovered by Joel Walther, he uses two explanations to justify social information processing theory, which I will later on refer to as SIPT. Now, his first justification is verbal cues, meaning that when you are in person with somebody, you can develop an impression much quicker than if it was electronic mediated. So you can develop it quicker by body language, tone of voice, emphasis on certain words, etc. And the second one is extended time. Now, this is saying that over an extended period of time, you can develop the exact same relationship as if you were meeting somebody interpersonally and having that conversation. It's not weaker by any means, but over an extended period of time, they can be strong, just as strong as if they were formed interpersonally. And to quote Jemima Ray from online, she uses it as a glass of water, and you can either gulp it down if there's a glass of water in front of you, or you can just sip on it, and that just goes to mean that the ending is still the same, depending on if you took a while to do it or if you just did it right all at once. And my two general topics are culture and power. And when I hear culture, I think of two separate definitions. And the first one is like a group of people or a social group. It doesn't matter about ethnicity backgrounds. And the second definition is literally ethnicity backgrounds or a group of people from the same nation. And so the first one, I think, both of those definitions relate to SIPT in a way. So the first one is our culture now is electronic mediated. There's no getting around it, and it's only going to progress from here. And the second one being, culture. So there's some nations out there that don't even really have computers and such, so they can't even use electronic mediated communication, even if they wanted to. Now, I feel like this, helps to build a competent interpersonal relationship because people who can't communicate well can use the internet to, translate words, or they can use it to, fix out spellings or be able to write well without being put on the spot and trying to sound illiterate right away in front of somebody and getting the correct pronunciations. And the second one is power. And power is a little bit more difficult to explain for me because when you say power, I think of control. So parents are usually the ones who have control over how their kids communicate, but not who they communicate with. So it all depends on how much power or control a parent has over their kids. Now, for someone who isn't underage, I find it more difficult to explain because they don't have somebody, paying their cell phone bill or taking their phone away as a punishment every day. So power, if somebody isn't underage, if they want to go meet people out in person, they might be too shy, too lazy, or their time is just consumed elsewhere. So they're going to sit at home on social media to try and meet people elsewhere or communicate that way. And same thing for kids in high school or middle school or whatever. If their parents ground them or something, they're still just going to be sitting at home on social media if their parents didn't take it away. And if you take somebody's phone away nowadays, you can't make plans with them because that's how we communicate is with our cell phones. You can't make plans with them. You can't make plans to meet up. It's pretty much ruined if your phone isn't operating. So power and social interprocessing theory relate to competent interpersonal relationships because whether the parents have power or not, the kids are still communicating via electronically. And this then lets kids, teens, adults, whoever, build their relationships with people online. And eventually, over time, they have that same relationship that they would with if they were to meet in person. Now, I feel like social information processing theory, you can have that same relationship with that person as you would interpersonally if both parties that are communicating electronically are being honest and true to themselves. So like nowadays with Snapchat, you can tell if they're being their real selves and if they're not lying about who they are, making themselves seem better than they actually are. And a way that this relates to me personally is that my cousin that's actually getting married a month after I am, her and her fiance met on Tinder. And so they used electronic mediated communication until they met in person, and now they have that same relationship that they would have if they met in person because they're getting married and spending the rest of their lives with each other. Thank you.